Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial for my calm and peaceful version of the hymn, Jesus What a Friend for Sinners. You may have noticed, or know already, that the hymn tune for this hymn is the same one used for Love Divine, O Love's Excelling, and Come Thou Long Expected Jesus. So if you wanted to play either of those hymns, you could just change the title of your number in the bulletin or the program or what have you, and just read from this and nobody will know the difference. All right, I want to just go over a couple things. It's not too difficult of arrangement. There's just a couple things I want to point out. I will say before I do, though, the arrangement is intended to be a very meditative, reflective, as I wrote here, calm and peaceful arrangement. So you could certainly not interpret it that way. You could speed up the tempo and give it a little bit more of a bounce and a flow to it, and that'd be totally okay. You are the pianist, and you are free to interpret it as you want to and as context dictates. But as I have it written and as I recorded it myself, I intended it for it to be more reflective. So don't rush. If you're going to try to emulate that, don't rush it. In 6/8, it's a very flowy hymn, and so it's easy to let the tempo kind of get away from you. But I tried to write especially the left hand accompaniment parts in such a way that it doesn't get boring. And that's actually the first thing I want to point out about the arrangement is this is one of my favorites because it's so satisfying to play. Typically, left hand parts in sacred music arrangements are just kind of arpeggios, maybe chords, or the bottom parts of chords. And I really tried to give the left hand something really interesting to play. So there's a lot of counter melodies in addition to comping the chords. And it just feels very satisfying in the hand to play it. So if I play the first part. So I would hope that as you play it and learn it, that you find it to be the same thing, that left hand part is really interesting and satisfying. So I would say if you are going to play it more reflectively, milk those melodic lines in your left hand. Let them breathe a little bit, let them ebb and flow a little bit, let them it's against the rules, if you will, to let the accompaniment overshadow the melody. You always want the melody to stand out and be very noticeable. And I would not go against that rule, but at the same time, I would say maybe you can bend it in spots. Like I like to bend it right there in that first measure where the left hand kind of joins up with the harmony part to the right hand. I will purposefully let the left hand be louder there, like right here. I mean, everybody knows the melody, so just let that counter melody enjoy its time in the sun, if you want to. The other thing I want to point out is at the bottom of the first page, continuing on to the next, and again at the end, you have these big stretches in the left hand, and I put the top note in brackets. Hopefully you can see that. With a little note, bracketed notes may be omitted. If you've played my arrangements before, you know that I do this very often. I put stretches of an interval of a tenth in the left hand. That's very comfortable for me to play because I have freakishly large hands, but most people don't. Most people have normal hands, and that's impossible for them to play. So you can easily, and don't feel bad, don't feel like you're making this arrangement fall short of all it could be by omitting those top notes. Here's how it sounds. Here's how it sounds as written. Here's how it sounds if I omit that top note. Almost no different. And certainly to the listener that you're playing this for, will never know that you omitted that top note. So don't feel bad doing that. Not a problem at all. The reason I even write it that way is because if you are able to make that stretch, I think it's worth that extra warmth that it gives the chord to have that third scaled, the third chord, the third of the chord. Trying to figure out how to say that. The third of the chord in the top like that. It gives it a warm, full sound. So it's worth it if you can make the stretch. You could even roll it. But use your ear. If your rolling is inconsistent or you're not able to do it in time, then it's not worth it. Or if it just doesn't sound right to you, it's just not worth it. Just take that top note off. It's not a problem. All right, the only other thing I wanted to point out is at that spot, and I think it happens, yeah, it does happen again at the end. You do have these big chords in your left hand. They happen every dotted quarter note, and each one of them is like a very different shape in the hand. And if you're doing those big stretches, I guess even if you're not, they do kind of jump around. It's almost like a super slow stride piano. You know, something like that. But really slow. And so you would typically, if you're wanting to be super proper, you would want to hold each dotted quarter note for its full length before moving to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. What's the next chord? So that if, say, you were not using the pedal, there would be as little break in sound as possible. It would still sound, everything would still sound legato. But some of those jumps and movements from chord to chord in your left hand are difficult. And so I would suggest, if you're using the pedal, to let the pedal carry the sound and the legato quality of it, and advance your hand early to the next chord shape and get ready. So if you're, it's kind of, let me choose a different spot here. So measure 33, last page, I'm going to be playing the left hand part here. So instead of advance your hand to the next chord early. Don't play it yet, just get it in position. And then get it in position. Get in position. Let me play it all together. You see how I play the chord, I let it sound as it needs to, and then I immediately get my hand ready for the next one. So anyway, that's a suggestion for how to play those bigger chords more smoothly, make it a little bit less effortful. Hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.